Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have ourselves a little bit of a storm damage project. It is a beautiful sunny morning after an ice storm that we had the last couple days here, just freezing rain and stuff, and it caused this limb failure out of this large silver maple here. So somebody had requested in the comments of the last video that I make maybe an unedited video that included everything, you know, just so I could see how things went. So that's what this is going to be. But I just want to show you what the project was before I just strapped the camera to my head and let it roll. So if you don't like unedited stuff, this isn't for you, but if you'd like to see the little bitty details, and stay tuned. Well, that's frozen. There we go. Okay, we need ourselves a rigging rope. This one will do. We're gonna need an extra leg, possibly. Gonna need a chainsaw. Not gonna need the scabbard. Gonna need our climbing gear. It's slippery up in here. Gonna need some gas. Gonna need our, oops, sorry. Don't want 40 weight because it's cold out today. We want our 20 weight. So we got that. We're gonna need a porta wrap. I think that's gonna be it for now. Who knows? Always forget something. Always gotta come back for something. I got here a little bit before the crew. I'm just contract climbing again today. I mean, it's more like contract helping rather than climbing. So we'll see if we can get the tree set up and ready to go before everyone else arrives. Okay, we're going to put the porta wrap on this side. Hopefully lower the limb on that side of the tree. These are my old homemade slings because I could splice 3-strand rope and I couldn't splice braided rope when I was getting started. Still can't splice braided rope, but it was back when it was more important to make a sling than to buy one, because didn't have money at that time and had to start with what I had. Now normally I tie a timber hitch, but that's not going to work today. Tie ourselves a running bowline because our sling's not quite long enough for this tree. Try to get it as tight as possible here. My goodness, I'm making this look like it's my first day. It's not the tightest it could be, but it'll be functional for what we're doing here today. That tail out of the way. Ooh, I'm gonna slip and fall by the end of this. Let's get our climbing rope, or at least our throw line, up in the tree now. This is nice and icy. Nicey icy. Should be a pretty easy shot. Ooh, look at the glimmer of the sunshine. I hope that shows up in the camera. Alright, this should be pretty easy shot. Tempted to just throw it, but my throwing skills are a little subpar since I've babied myself with the air cannon. We don't want to go over there with empty hands because that would be a wasted trip, so let's take this, and we don't need spikes. We need our climbing rope, obviously. We'll put the harness on out here when we're ready for it. Set this over here, set the foot ascender on top so we don't lose that in snow. This is going to be just a joy to use. Ooh, tape's coming off of my throw bag. Try to be careful with this PVC in the cold. I've definitely broke a lot of valve handles off and that kind of thing. Had to rebuild this thing a number of times. I really like to make one out of aluminum. Ah, nice. I think I hear Boss Man's truck in the distance. It doesn't feel like it's latching on there quite right, but could be just because the rubber inside there is stiff, being cold. All right, let's see if she'll take. I hear a lot of leaking. Well, that's not effective. You know, we might end up just throwing this thing anyway. Let's give that a shot. Never get better at it if I don't try it, right? Of course, naturally the crotch I'm aiming for is like, it'd be best to throw it from where this limb is sitting on the ground, but be nice to be right over there. Can't have everything though. Oh, we missed. Great. We're gonna get stuck on the first throw. Okay. instead of getting this thing hung up there, I'm going to untie my weight here and pull the string back through. I think that bow line will be fine. Most of the time I untie that loop, but all we have is a little bit of brush that we're pulling it through. It's not catchy bark or anything. There we go, it came down with no problem. There's a bunch of different ways to tie throw lines to throw weights. Bowline and girth hitch is just what I use because it's convenient for me. But there's a bunch of different knots that people have figured out that, you know, you can pull on super hard and the knot will slip out, so that way the thing comes down to the ground or something like that. I have not upped my throw ball game to that level yet. Someday maybe. I've run out of other things to learn. But I don't expect that to happen anytime soon, I guess. There we go. We're golden. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I really liked how that went. Okay, now what I do is maybe not what everybody else does, but I just ungirth my throw ball. I always stick it in my pocket. I'm a little bit colorblind, and so this red color throw ball disappears in green and brown and those kinds of colors really fast. So if it's a place with leaves on the ground, I lose it. If it's a place with grass on the ground, I can't find it real easy. So I just stick it in my pocket. Anyhow, I've had pretty good success with just pulling a couple of feet through and girth hitching a string on there and just doing that. You know, the other way that I'm aware of is, you know, you do it up close to here by the end and you girth hitch a couple of half hitches, and that works out too, but this end tends to always want to get stuck on stuff, and they do make cones and that kind of thing, I think, to combat that. But I've found that just putting it on there a couple feet down typically does the trick for me. There's always exceptions, you know, but for the most part it gets done what I need it to. Make sure we're putting our string in our cube here. I learned recently that you just got to replace this throw line string when it's starting to not slide through the tree well. I thought, oh, this is like the expensive stuff, like I think it was like 45 bucks for 200 feet or something, the Dynaglide. And it's really nice, it doesn't stretch at all. It's really lightweight, holds knots good, everything like that. But the other one I had just wore to the point where it didn't slide through the tree very well. And I tried a couple different things. I tried some lubricants that you can spray on stuff, and they kind of helped, but not really. And so I pretty much just gave up and bought a new one, and it saved me a bunch of hassle. So if you're having throw line problems, just throw it away. There you go, there's a joke for you. Somebody said I didn't have enough entertainment in my videos, so I'll do my best. Okay. And if you don't know how to fold up a cube, the way I always like to do it, at least for this Weaver brand cube I have, is you follow the directions, you twist it closed for close, and then you fold open and close to each other. And then what you're left with is the buckle and the strap, and they're on the same side, and so we fold it so that way those are on the outside of the triangle. And if you do that consistently every time, you won't have any problems getting lost and folding it 18 different ways trying to figure out how to open it, because that always tangles up the string. So I always like to put tools away as I'm done with them so I don't lose them or they don't get damaged sitting around on the site. So we're done with this stuff. Guess I should stop leaving this outside in the wintertime, huh? Probably help things go smoother. Okay. Let's see here. Let's put our harness on so that's out of our way. If you haven't found a good jacket for yourself to climb in, I've discovered this Carhartt like rain defender or something. Well, I forget what it's called. Jacket works pretty good. The material's pretty tough. I haven't torn it yet on any trees or any bark or any rough textures. It's a little bit stretchy. The tail is a little bit longer than normal, and I got one that fits kind of snug. And all of that helps keep it under the belt, and then also it's not flapping around. Like if you wear like a traditional Carhartt coat, it all bulges out, you can't see your harness, and it's just in the way, and that's not what we want. So don't think I'll be taking my handsaw up there, because I'm literally just gonna be cutting off a big stub. We have our foot ascender over there already. We're gonna use this little system today. Oh, I forgot that was in there. My goodness. This is what I use for rope walking, and I'll show it to you. It's really simple, really cheap, really easy. It's maybe not the fastest or the best, but at least gets you up the tree with 2 feet. So let me fold this up. You wouldn't tell by all the sawdust in there, but I do try to keep this thing folded up during the job, so that way it's not getting all covered and full of dust. Set it right there. Let's gas up our saw real quick. I always try to make a habit out of putting oil in first, because all it takes is one time for you to be in a rush or be talking to somebody while you're filling your saw, and you put gas in it and never put oil in it, and you go and cut and wreck your bar and chain or something. So probably not a big deal. I've never actually done that, but just seems like a decent habit to develop. These, I think they're called no spill. Yeah, right there. No spill gas cans are about my favorite so far. A nice little valve that's easy to use. You just got to remember to relieve the pressure before you stick it in the saw, or before you even turn it upside down. Otherwise, gas blows everywhere and it's just a pain. So, alrighty. This piece is elastic and it goes around my neck. I tie that to my akimbo, which you'll see in a list a little bit here, but I'm going to take my helmet off real quick and shove this thing on. Alrighty, we got it on. Alrighty. We got it on. That'll be our little necklace for the day. We'll take this and just clip it on our belt here somewhere. I got this recently, and I just put it on here, and I just threw it on. I didn't think about too much. I just want to have 2 of them on this side that are close and easy to use. I've discovered that my my lanyard carabiner keeps getting stuck on it. So we're gonna have to move that, either trade out with this one that has a lockable gate, or move it around back or something. So if you're ever setting your harness up with a spring gate tool holder, now you know that you can't put it too close. Okay, I think we're done. Wow, that's slippery. I think we're done there. Go over here. Okay, let's finish setting up our climbing rope. We're going to do a base anchor today. With that quickie and an alpine butterfly. Now when you're setting up your climbing rope, especially with a base anchor, it's important to make sure you have enough tail on the ground. I like to have 5 or 10 feet or something. If I'm going to be doing a lot of limb walking, I'd use even more. It's always important that your rope reaches the ground. and that it's not like on the verge of coming off, because it's a good idea to have an easy rope exit from the tree if you get hurt and you lose function of one of your hands or something like that. It'd be really tough to spike down or you're bleeding out of your hand or out of your arm or something. So I try to make sure I always have a rope exit if possible, and it is possible most of the time. Sure, there's an exception to every rule. Okay. Whoa. We do want to make sure that our climbing rope isn't going to be interfered with by the porter wrap. It looks like it won't be, but just for well, not for funsies, just to keep something from going wrong. I want to be, well, no, I want to be below the porter wrap. That's what I want. I don't want the rigging rope rubbing on it either on accident. So we'll get this below the sling here, get all cinched up and get a slack out of it. And then we're going to put it on the back side of the tree where we want it, so that way it stays close, tucked to the trunk, and isn't liable to catch on any of the stuff that we're rigging down and get in the way. Oh, I just got dripped on in the face. That's going to be the the theme of the job today, though. This ice is all going to melt and we're going to be getting rained on. Okay. I should have used my throw line to isolate this climbing rope on that side of the limb, but I didn't, so now I'm going to throw it over and hopefully it doesn't get stuck. Stuck like that. Let's see if we can find ourselves a stick. Of course, all the sticks are covered in ice. There we go. Okay, that wasn't too hard. Oh, brother. Well, see, that's what happens. The second you don't think a little bit ahead and don't do something all the way, the second you try to take a shortcut, it comes back to bite you. So, alright, let's go ahead and put our foot ascender on. And by all means, if you are watching this video and you see something that could make this easier for somebody else or safer for somebody else, feel free to throw it in the comments, because I certainly am not the most knowledgeable person on the face of the earth, and I'm sure there's things I could do better to make this experience better. So, for my sake and for others, if you want to add your thoughts, it would be appreciated. Now, we're going to rig off of this side of the tree with the porter wrap, but the position of our rigging point is going to swing our pieces that way, and so we're going to have the stub in the way and everything like that. So what we want to do is we want this to go from the porter wrap up to the rigging point and then down on the other side. See if I can make this illustration make sense. We want it to be the porter wrap here, rigging point here, lowering line here. And so we're going to want the big stub that we're cutting off to be in the center here, just because of the way things work out with the position of the porter wrap and the rigging point and such. So what I'm going to do is, before I climb up, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just throw the rope over that limb, so that way when I take it up there, it's already on the right side. Because if I just take it up with me from the bottom, it'll be on the wrong side of the limb. So hopefully that makes sense. Either way, I'm just telling you that to tell you why I'm trying to throw this over here before I climb the tree. Oh boy. Oh my goodness. That was super embarrassing. Let's pull some more rope out of here. Okay, we got enough slack in the ground, we got enough slack in our hands. Let's try this again. Wow, I might have to edit this out. part of the problem is I'm trying not to stretch too much and pull my jacket out of my belt. The limb's really not that high. There we go. There we go. Okay. Alrighty. Ooh, look at that. A very interesting wound. Okay. Now we should be about ready to head up the tree. We're gonna actually taking the tree up the tree with us. We're gonna take and tie our chainsaw onto the bottom of our rope here, so we don't have to carry it up there for setting the rigging, but so that way it is available to us when we need it to climb. Wow, forgot how to tie a bow line. Can't imagine. I'm just off my game today. Picked the wrong day to make an unedited video. Okay, make sure it's good and set. This KM3 doesn't knot real well, so you gotta be careful with those. Make sure we have our lanyard handy. I've definitely gone up the tree without this. Got too excited and forgot on the ground. Oh, slipping. Bring that. We're gonna need this down here. Okay. So I like to put this on the rope first before I put it on me. That's just more convenient. Now what we're going to do, I'll explain this whole thing to you here, so that way you can mimic it if you want. This is our basic climbing system here, you see, What we're going to do first, we're going to give things a little test and jump on it. Sometimes if your rope is over a twig up above the crotch or something you didn't see, it'll break and you end up sitting on your butt in the middle of the yard looking like a goofball, but it's good to do. But anyhow, what we're going to do here is we're going to take and add this little piece of accessory cord to the carabiner that the akimbo is hooked to. Yeah, like that. Now I have this cut or tied at a specific length that works for me, and I just put this side around my foot. If you have those fancy climbing boots, I'm sure you could integrate that somehow. And so this is going to serve as our left foot ascender. And I need to, well, it'll work like that. That'll be fine, that orientation. And then the other side, we're going to put in our foot ascender. And then we could do this and manually advance it, but it's just more of a challenge than we need. So what I've done is set up this elastic neck lanyard, and I hook it into my akimbo there and allow that to advance it. And so it's not perfect, but it works, and it saves you some money. It would work better if I maybe adjusted my akimbo a little bit looser, but I like it the way it is. So you can see sometimes it slides better than others. I also just did a white pine on this rope, and so it's a little bit sappy still. Okay. You do have to watch out because that neck lanyard will become wacky in the teeth sometimes. Whew. I'm getting fat now. We don't want to unhook this until we've got a secondary tie-in up here of some kind. So we just have to leave that dangle. Oh man. It's all slippery. You have to watch me struggle now. Whew. Okay, get ourselves tied in. Alrighty, I'm gonna go ahead and unhook this loop and stow it away because we're not gonna need it until the end of the day here. We come back up for a rigging block. I just like to girth hitch it onto the back of my harness here. Okay. I like to keep my rigging line, if we're going to use rig off the same spar that I am climbing off of, I like to keep my rigging line and my climbing line separated a little bit, because you don't want the two interfering with each other on the tree while you're trying to rig something down. So in this case, will this fit in the next pocket? No, it won't. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to move my climbing rope up to this crotch here. It's also important to keep this tail of the sling up out of the way. So just find somewhere to tuck it nice. I remember how we went around Red Robin's barn with the whole tie on the rigging rope ahead of time and everything. Well, I left it down there. So hopefully Boss Man's here before too long and he can tie it on for us and send it up. Something else that's worth mentioning is you should be really careful when you're getting up to the elevation of the crotch your base anchor climb system runs through. Because if I stand up, there's nothing that's going to protect me if I fall that way. So you can't put yourself in a position where you don't have a lanyard on and you can fall and not be caught by a rope. Wow, this limb is really slippery. That's not fun. Okay, so we're leaned into our rope here good. We're gonna go ahead and take this off. And because somebody tied a chainsaw onto the end of our climbing rope, we're gonna have to pull that up, I guess. You could go all August Honeyke and carry yourself an extra pulley just for pulling stuff up so you don't have to pull it this way. Or if you're just not old, you could do this and get a nice bicep workout. But I respect those who are getting older and wish to find an easier way to do things. I'm also only lifting this thing 30 or 40, well, probably 40 or 50 feet, but I'm sure if I was pulling it up 150 feet, it'd be a little bit different of a story. Okay, now before we untie it, we'll go ahead and hook our tether to it. Just reduce our risks of dropping it. We'll go ahead and hook it on ourselves there. We'll untie it. Then we can send our tail back down, and then we can put our akimbo back on there. Super important, obviously. You'd think this isn't a hard thing, but super important to really look things over when you're resetting a climbing line, because you don't have an opportunity to test it. Once you're weak, well, I mean you do, but not the same way you can jump out on the ground. So we're gonna put our weight on here quick before we take our flip line off. Ooh. Make sure you like it. Which we do. Man, this is just really slippery. What on earth? Okay. I'm gonna take our flip line off. And now I'm gonna wait for the man in charge to show up to set me up my rigging rope, because I'm not climbing up here an extra time. So I am going to have to edit that out, because nobody wants to sit here and watch me wait. Here he comes. Ooh, coming in hot. I'm sure we'll have to exchange some pleasantries, so I will keep you from watching that. It's not very educational. Good morning. Do you think you could take a second to tie my rigging rope onto my climbing rope? Absolutely. That'd be great. Would I be tying your rigging rope on your climbing rope now? That's correct. I have it where I need it. So yep, just took it together. I just forgot to bring it up with me. I got too excited. Perfect, thank you. Alrighty, there we have it. It's just 1/2" stable braid. Should be more than sufficient. It always has to be more than sufficient, but should be more than sufficient for what we need today. It's important, if you do use these Omni blocks, they're really nice, really handy, really smooth, well-made piece of equipment, but they have some drawbacks. And one of them is that you just got to make sure you set things up so that this face with the release button is away from the tree. Now you may see that this rope is rubbing on this branch a little bit. That'll get straightened out once we put some tension on it, but it still will rub a little bit when we got the rope in the porta wrap. So it's not desirable, but this isn't a removal, so we can't just cut this branch off. And it's really not the end of the world, so we're gonna live with it for today. So I'm gonna feed enough of this down through there to get me down to where I need to make the cut and everything, and then I'm gonna tie a slip knot in here to keep it from going back. Another thing I can do is just run it all the way to the ground, but the slip knot will give us a little extra security, and we'll be able to pull it out pretty easily and pull it back. Not pull it back, sorry, pull the knot out when we need it. We just can't forget about it, because if we go to rig or somebody goes to yank on this side, it'll cinch the knot up and make it a little bit tough. So make sure you make the knot in the right direction so that way it pulls out easy. Just leave it there. Alright, let's go down and get it tied on and get some cutting done. Ooh, my pads froze to my branch up here. I was sitting on my pads because it was not as cold as sitting on my pants. Alright, here we go. Here's some akimbo action if you want to see it. I've got it set kind of tight. This is about the smallest rope you can run through it, and so it's not the smoothest right now. but it works. I've also got, this is an old rope and kind of got some snags in it here and there. And as I said before, some pine pitch spots, so it's maybe not a great example, but most people don't like the akimbo. It's been working good for me. I really appreciate its compactness. That's a big thing for me, especially on spar work. So I've been using it. Sometimes there I like to reset it when it's not really running the way I'd like it to run. Now I got to get over to there. Ooh. I can't reach with my leg either. So what we can do is we can take our throw line and try to lasso it in some rough part. That'll give us enough swing to get over there. Yep. Ow. Well, maybe we can get to wrap around the branch and catch it. That'd be sweet. You can also ask the ground man to pull you over, but they're a little busy getting set up right now. We don't want to we don't want to distract them.
What are you trying to do? Freeze your helmet?
Hey, that got us a little bit of swing. There we go. There we go. Now we're cooking. Okay. Now we can see why this limb failed. So this discoloration suggests there's some sort of decay going on inside there. It's still firm, you know, firm wood. It's not super soft, but that's, oh no, down there it is soft. I don't know if it looks soft to you guys, but it definitely looks soft up here. So alright, we can get ourselves set up here. Now can't reach my rigging rope. We can again play lasso and get it to ourselves that way. So we'll go ahead and yank our knot out. There we go, it's out. And what we're going to do first here, this limb is completely broke off. It's not attached in any way. But the challenge that we have is that it's still sitting on there, and we don't want to drop any big pieces down and, you know, knock some bark off the tree or bruise something down there in the root flare. So what we're going to do is we're going to tie this on down beyond the break here somewhere, and then we're going to just cut this off right beyond where this is going to fall. So we are going to drop, you know, a 2-foot chunk of wood. However, it's better than dropping the whole thing willy-nilly. This rope is also going to keep, we'll be able to control this and, you know, take our time and get it down without it coming back into the tree trunk. So it's going to take a little bit of a trick, and it's going to go, you know, it's not going to go perfect. It's going to be lowered a little bit, trim some brush off to make it go where we want, lower it a little bit more, etc. But if I need to keep my rope with me, I sometimes just tie it to my bridge there, free my hands up. Everything is slippery and you don't have spikes, so it's kind of a challenge, but I do want to tie this back far enough so that way it's not interfering with anything during the rig in case we need to cut it. And it's important whenever you tie a rigging rope on, you make sure you have your rope paths planned out. You don't want to find yourself on the other side of the rigging rope with a climb line or something like that and be in a position where you get pulled off your spot when the rope gets loaded. So I was just going to tie regular bowline, but this limb's so slippery, I think we'll put a half hitch on it here for extra fun. Well, actually to reduce extra fun. Okay, we like that. We like everything about it. So we're gonna try and get this piece to come down on this side of the tree. So we got a rigging point over there. You know, it's a simple thought, but sometimes you don't think of it. All your stuff's gonna land right under your rigging point. So choosing a rigging point can be a critical component to getting stuff where you want it to. Actually, I shouldn't say it can be, it is a critical component. Man, this tree is slippery. That is a whole challenge of its own today. Got a drip right down the back of my neck. Okay. Got ourselves in position, and now we're just waiting on ground crew to get set up and be ready to go.
I got 4 wraps on this puppy.
Okay. I'm sure that'll be plenty. You're ready to go? You ready to go?
Better too much than not enough.
Oh yeah, for sure. They're kind of hard to put.
Why don't you let me hard lock this, and I'm going to cut that one leg out here.
Yeah.
Go ahead and cut it. We'll just see what happens.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Because I'm thinking if we cut that leg, it's going to be more likely to go this way.
Yeah.
Because that looks like a pretty hard crotch here. Yeah, let me cut that.
Okay, you can go ahead. I'll just stay backed up here in case the jar is loose and comes off.
Try that every once in a while, see if it'll move.
You can, I think you can probably see that there's some very interesting grain structure in there too, which is, it looks like it's probably less than super strong. So that might have been a part of it. It's hard to say. There's a lot of reasons. And typically I think a lot of limb failures are not due to just one sole thing. It's always a couple of things. You know, it's either a decayed spot in the wind, a decayed spot in ice, a decayed spot in some poor grain structure, decayed spot, poor grain structure and ice, you know. Combination of things. They all just add up to too much for the limb to bear. It seems like that tends to be the way a lot of things in life are, honestly. Sometimes, plenty of times, it's just one thing, but I don't think it's always. Alright, he's gonna cut leg off down there. It's gonna help it come around a little bit easier.
Yeah, I think that'll encourage it the way we want it to go.
Yeah, I think that'll help. Oh.
I think it's funny in your pipe tree. I'm ready.
Okay, we're gonna cut a little bit of a hinge on this to help it go.
I'm gonna be using my cake brake more.
Hey, don't mock my safety. Trying to get better, okay? I got some bad habits. I just need to get rid of them. Well, that kind of went differently than anticipated. The goal was to get to go that way, but it came this way. So, do you want me to hop down there and cut that off, or is it going to miss the tree trunk?
I just gotta cut down. I just gotta get a wrap on. I just gotta cut down.
Okay, Gary's going to cut that off. I'll get my rope out of your way. Right before we cut that, Gary was talking about in the last video, I talked about You want to cut that stub off of there before it's wedged up against the tree?
That's what I was talking about, holding them wraps. When you gotta take the herd lock off. What'd you say, bud?
No worries.
You said something about the stubby up there?
Yeah, we'll put the rope on the stub and then we'll slide it down to you as well. If you could flick it to me, that'd be handy. Beautiful, thank you. Okay, we're gonna tie this close to the middle.
You like it when they're nice and icy up there?
Oh, it's real slippery up here, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was like sarcastically saying you like it when it's nice and icy.
And something when I'm tying it to the center and I'm kind of want to make sure it doesn't slip, I like to just give it a double wrap.
Slide that towards you.
Okay, there we go. That should be, oops, that's not okay.
Okay, watch this.
Should be good to go. Now because we're obviously just cutting off a stub and we're gonna leave the rest of the tree here, you want to make a really nice cut. So we're gonna cut it off with a bottom cut and then a top cut, and then we're gonna cut off one more time closer. We're gonna leave ourselves just a couple inch stub. We're gonna cut that stub off so that we make sure we leave a really nice wound for the tree to heal over as fast as possible. The unfortunate reality is that this wound is not going to heal before the wood starts to rot. This is silver maple, it rots pretty fast, and there is no way that that wound is going to get covered before it starts to decay. So normally, if a customer wanted to take this limb off for whatever reason, I would not do it. I would try to talk them out of it, or you know, tell them that it's going to produce a problem for the tree later down the road. But because nature trimmed this, we're here and we got to do what we got to do. So we'll get to cutting here. That's my climbing rope there, Gary.
I know that. You're paying attention.
You're just trying to see if I'm paying attention? Okay. I put this rope around its limb rather than around the whole tree because it was A, easier, and B, it will help me establish my rotational position as I try to cut this. Rotational position around the tree. Now we do have ourselves... I don't like that.
Why? Need a bigger saw?
No, I can do it with this saw. I just wish my rope wasn't so close here, but I can make it happen. Gonna have to be careful. Okay, she's starting to go, and I want to get out of the way if I can. Just don't want to be close to that rigging rope when it gets loaded. It's set down on the cut. Nice, and that was good rope running, Gary. And if they can get that pushed over there before they set it all the way down, it'll be a lot easier. That was not a good balance tie. Now, the reason I cut it that way is because I wanted to make sure it didn't peel down the tree, because so it makes it peels really bad. But I also, the problem with it was when you saw it set on that bottom cut, when that bottom curve closed, I don't want to break off real big, so my cuts weren't lined up real good. So we'll just cut off nice and smooth now, and then we'll be done. Actually, we'll wait till they get out of the way. There you go. Nice work. There we go. Man, that is a big wound. Maybe I should have kept a little more pill out of my first cut. I don't know. I think so. I think it would have been a little bit better if we would have kept that bottom out a little bit more. By making it more up and down, we made this cut longer. It needed to be down here, especially. But it's interesting to see some of this figuring in here. Alright, now we will run back up to the top and we'll get our rigging equipment and then we'll come down and we'll be done. I'm not going to show you all of that because I'm running out of battery and because it's just reverse of what we've already done. So yeah, I appreciate you watching. I hope you found something educational here. If I'm doing something horribly wrong, by all means, please mention it in the comments so that way others can see it and don't learn how to do something the wrong way. So I would hate to teach somebody something that's potentially dangerous. But hope you have a good day and stay safe out there.